think about Jim Embry, you know how much he loves the co-op.
Amen.
This man has been around the world talking about cooperatives. But he has also been around the world talking about our co-op.
That's right.
Good Foods Co-op. It still holds a special place in his heart. He cannot go without talking about his love for the co-op. So at this time, I'd like to welcome Jim Embry to come up and give us some words, please.
Wow. 50 years. And you know, she don't look too bad for 50. Well, thank you, Rob and Claudia, on behalf of the board, all the staff, for allowing me to share a few words today. Now, I'm here today to speak for myself, absolutely. Also, I speak in the memory of folks like Bill and Jean Wagner, Lucy Burroughs, Mary and Robin Reed, and others who were co-op founders 50 years ago. I also speak on behalf of all of the owners, all the staff, management, board members, shoppers, farmers, producers, and our national network who have worked cooperatively together for the last 50 years to make this co-op possible. But let's remember that our nation has a long history in the cooperative movement. Let's remember that our three branches of government and our Constitution were inspired by the Iroquois Federation, a indigenous cooperative structure. Let's furthermore remember that the Underground Railroad, which was meant to assist enslaved Africans to freedom, was a compilation of cooperative Underground Railroad sites. After the Civil War, millions of black and white farmers formed co-ops all across the nation. Housing co-ops, grocery co-ops, credit unions, and many other forms of co-ops formed during this period. Now, it was within the cauldron of the civil rights, the Black Power movement, the women's movement, the anti-war movement, the gay and lesbian movement, the environmental movement, that our co-op was born by individuals who stood for freedom and justice and democracy for all. This was the fire that led to the formation across our nation of thousands of natural food co-ops. Here in Kentucky, we believe not just in the common wealth for a few, but we believe in the common health of people, the environment, and the economy. Our Good Foods Co-op and other co-ops around the country, in my view, literally transformed this community and this nation. A few examples. bring it close to home. In 2002, our Kentucky government began what's called Kentucky Proud. And we love it. But just remember that our co-op proudly was buying local food from the very beginning in 1972. It didn't require a state government or federal government to tell us the right thing to do. So we began offering Kentucky Proud 30 years before we had the state designation. Another thought of transformation. In 1987, our city government began its first recycling program, okay, for the city of Lexington. However, let's remember that in 1972, the co-op was recycling because you had to bring your own jar, your own container, your own sack to take our delicious food home. That history is why we have in the back of the store a public access recycling center. We've been leading the way of transforming our community. And as you might recall, for a short period of time, we had in the back of the store as well these food scrap waste bins, because we were trying to work with the city to move towards what's called zero waste. And we all know that's our direction for the future, zero waste. Now, we're right here on the side of our co-op looking at the electric charging bins. So remember, our co-op was one of the first spots in the state to have electric charging stations. And we absolutely. And we know that's part of our future. Now, if you go in the store over in the bulk area, you will see flour and grain from Weisenberger Mills. One of our first items we purchased in 72 was flour from Weisenberger Mills. That was 50 years ago, and we're still buying flour and grains from Weisenberger Mills.
All right.
As Rob was saying, we purchase farm products, all kinds of items, from some 200 plus vendors, suppliers all around Kentucky, and have helped many farmers and businesses get started. Now, over here on our left, in the parking lot, you will see Permeable Pavers. Again, I'm just bragging on us. The co-op is one of the first sites in Lexington, plus the weed store, to have what's called Permeable Pavers, rain gardens, and those are all part of the EPA consent decree that we're involved in here in Lexington to reduce the runoff from parking lots in our natural streams.
Right.
That's what we do. Now, about the future. I want to recommend, if you brought your pen and paper or your cell phone to take notes, I was a board member back in 2010, and I encouraged the board and the management to read and embrace an important document. It's called Cooperatives in the Age of Google. Written by now a friend of mine named Robin Murray. He said again, Cooperatives in the Age of Google. This about 100-page document was inspired by the 2008 global recession, inspired by the climate chaos and environmental devastation, inspired also by what we call the information and communication revolution. And said, how do we reinvent ourselves? how do we respond to all these various levels of change and still remain true to our principles? It is still an important document. One thing it says is that this information revolution is actually a cooperative revolution. We have folks all around the world who are working cooperatively to write computer software. We call it open source. All of us probably cooperatively are active on various social media platforms. That's why it's called a cooperative revolution. So how do we tap into that? How do we engage all 10,000 owners to provide, when you come to the store, are you doing Facebook Live like we're doing now? Are you doing TikTok, Instagram? Are you telling our story? And we're saying that's part of our future. Yes, we love our management, our staff, our board, but this future of ours is going to rely on how well we tap into the almost 10,000 owners. I'm about to close. I'm going to give a few other possibilities. If you come here in the afternoon, what you will see in the story here is all these young folk from Lafayette, Lexington Catholic, and other nearby schools hanging out in the cafe. They're our future. So how well do we tap into these social media experts? Are they in here TikToking, dancing in the cafe, doing Instagram? We ought to begin to think about how we involve young people in our future.
Yes.
Now, as well, as you all know, the students in Fayette County speak 80 different languages. Don't know that? 80 different languages or more. We have folk here all over the world who come here from Asia, Europe, Africa, Latin South America. They're right here. So then we think about how do we tap into these recent immigrants and pull them into the network of the co-op. That's because they're part of the future. They're part of the future. We were in here in the co-op here on Monday with my Njama Seed Cooperative, just formed. We met with Josh, Claudia, and Rob, some of the friends. We had a great time here. Thank you all. When we left here, we went and met with people from Senegal and from the Congo who were working on a community garden. And they couldn't find any seeds that were relevant to them culturally. But they came to us, and we met with them, and we gave them 20 packets of seeds that are grown traditionally in Africa. So, of course, as you know, we already sell seeds in the store. But I'm encouraging us to strategically reach out to the community and say, what do you need us to have for you? Do you need seeds? Do you need 1,000 pounds of an African flower for your community? Do you need callaloo? Do you need asking people what they need and then we can provide it? That's part of the future.
Yes.
Now, in closing out, I'm recognizing my sons here, first of all, before I leave, okay? That's Obior, raise your hand, Ajini. One of the reasons that we got involved in the co-op was because we were having kids, okay? Deborah, the mom, was like breastfeeding them. That was all great, But after you do that, then what do? So part of my inspiration in joining the co-op was to have good food for our children. Okay, good food for our children. And I would say right now in 2022, when you get old, you forget. Think about the year 2040, 2050, with your great-great-grandchildren, and say, okay, you know, back 30 years ago, my great-grandpa Josh was doing the right thing. He was providing an environment, a community where we could survive and thrive. That's the question before all of us. Be a good ancestor. Be a good great-grandparent, and the co-op is an important part of how you do it. This is my last segment, actually. So, as a species, we as humans are facing challenges like we've never met before as a species. So the co-op began 50 years ago as trailblazers, visionaries, imagineers, based upon the cooperative principles that the earth operates by. When these trees are coming out in the spring, they cooperate with the sun, with the oxygen, with the fungi, and produce leaves and fruit. So the point is that the earth systems operate cooperatively. So we began 50 years ago on a fantastic voyage with adventure, intrigue, failure, and success. So I say, we love you all. Let's keep the voyage going. Enjoy the journey every day. Love you all much.
Thank you for that, Jim. We do have a couple more announcements before we